Welcome, everybody, to Conversations in American Democracy. I'm Merrill Shapiro. You are?
Phyllis Ruther.
Kurt McCauley.
Marla Alger.
Kathy Rotundo.
Kathy Moon.
Al Rotondo.
Jackie Brabant.
Delane Deardorff-Beck.
Mark Webb.
Sherry Frazier.
Ken Frazier.
Okay, welcome, everybody. Several things before we get to Kurt, and I'm then going to do an addendum to Kurt's Constitutional Minute. February 12th was, of course, Lincoln's birthday, but born on the same day as Abraham Lincoln was Charles Darwin. So it was the custom before COVID of the local chapter of Americans United for Separation of Church and State to write a note to the science teachers, and it's usually notes. My pleasure. We particularly flagged Palm Coast High School and say, you may hear other voices that say other things, but we're behind your teaching science with integrity, evolution, and not that the earth is 6,000 years old and was created in 7 days and so on. And we would take that note and wrap it around a box of animal crackers and give it to each of the science teachers. We tried to do that this year and ordered the animal crackers. The school system, without saying so, seems to say that's a little too woke for us. And so they don't want to do it. We know, by the way, through our research, that there's lots of defensive teaching on the part of science teachers. That is, or the biology teacher will teach the whole thing. When they get to the chapter on evolution, they'll skip that part, rather than say something that brings an angry parent to the principal's office and has them complain. So instead of giving these animal crackers to teachers, they're yours. Please enjoy them, courtesy of the local chapter of Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
Well, those students had better go to college in Florida then.
Yeah. That's the only, well, maybe the only place that'll take them. But that's another story. But it also speaks to the difficult position that teachers are in. Not only, so we were doing it to support teachers, and now we're not even allowed to voice our support for teachers in that way. So it's important for us to speak up for teachers whenever we can. They stand in jeopardy of their jobs. Kurt McCauley brings us Constitutional Minute, and then go on from the guy.
Okay. We're at 19, I believe.
Oh, I like that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep it.
Well, let's go.
Yeah, so.
Well, now you read it. Anybody, you know what the 19th Amendment was?
Let's read it.
What?
It's only a paragraph. It's short.
Yeah, it's not-
Sure. Well, the right to vote. Okay?
On account of sex cannot be, it says the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 1920.
Right. The women.
Yeah.
Women.
8/18, 1920.
Yeah.
The SAVE Act has got to be quashed.
because of
Suffragettes.
maiden names and
Yeah.
proving
Yeah.
who you are and so on and so forth. So
Also for trans
that's
people, some adopted people.
it's a mess, and we need to do all we can to get people out, and perhaps vote by mail is the way to avoid that. But I don't even know that voting by mail will improve that. That's a question, but we could see, and we'll talk about last night in just a little bit, but that there's a genuine effort to make sure that the right people vote. And the legislators get to choose their voters, not the voters choosing their legislators. That's how far we've come. So I want to turn just for a moment to Article 6, which is also now not Amendment 6, but this is Article 6. And it's significant that this day and this place are close to this place for a reason. So it's 3 short paragraphs. I won't read them all. The first is all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution are valid. That is, we, the government, will cover it. 2, this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made pursuant thereof, and all treaties made thereof and made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. That we're not so happy about that, but the supremacy clause. And finally, the 3rd paragraph says the senators and representatives before mentioned, excuse me, and the members of several state legislatures, all the executive judicial officers, both of the United States and of several states, shall be bound on oath and affirmation to support the Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to hold any office or public trust under the United States. Now that clause, and I'm particularly touched by it because when, in 1776, in 7 of the 13 colonies, Jews could not hold public office. And in fact, any non-Christian could not hold public office. But this addition about holding public office and religious tests, and after listening last night, maybe there is going to be a religious test, and maybe there already is a religious test. But it was added to the Constitution by Charles Pinckney. Charles Pinckney was from Charleston. It was then Charlestown, South Carolina. Right? He was the reason I say his birthday is today, but he also has a geographic location. He was caught up in the siege of Charleston, that the British laid siege to Charleston, and he was captured along with Christopher Gadsden. Christopher Gadsden was the one who took a coiled snake, and put it on a flag and said, "Don't tread on me." And they were both incarcerated in the Castillo in St. Augustine. So he was there. His birthday is today. He's the author and well-known. By the way, he was also the youngest delegate to the Constitutional Convention and made sure that there would be no religious test to hold office in the United States. So that's another message from Americans United for Separation of Church and State and other places that's got a history. The separation of church and state is not a modern invention. It's been around for a while. Okay, so how did you feel last night?
I felt great.
Yeah? What
You
made
know
you
what
feel?
I did?
What did you do?
I saw a movie by Rob Reiner.
Oh, okay. All right. May he rest in peace. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, The Magic of Belgrade Lake or whatever it is,
Oh, yeah.
up in New York State.
Okay.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman was in it, and it was very
Yeah,
good. It was
okay.
a very good family movie.
Very good. Okay. Thank you.
I couldn't watch him.
Why not? Why not?
I'm being assaulted by those lies.
Yeah.
Without
Penny.
Yeah. By the way, you don't have to raise your hand. Martha, what were you going to say?
Just say that because of my background, I watch the State of the Union every single year regardless of who's president, because I feel that's part of my job. I wouldn't, I just couldn't. So I've looked at a little bit of the people I like on YouTube's feedback from it. I'm glad I didn't. And that's the first time, and if he remains in the White House, it'll be the next couple of years too. I won't be watching.
So do you agree with the senators who did not show up?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So was what's her name from Massachusetts? Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, who
She was
said,
there.
yeah, she said, "I'm going to go because I want to lie to my face."
Right.
Was she right, wrong? Is there a right and wrong here, or?
No.
She's
I
entitled to her
mean, if they
opinion.
didn't want to attend, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they wanted to attend, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was-
Looking back in retrospect, was there a right or wrong decision? No.
I read or heard one commentator say that the challenge is, most Americans are not as in tune as we are. So they simply filled their seats with their people who were standing and applauding, and it made it appear Congress was nearly united on these points.
Yeah.
I do think from the history standpoint, I discovered that the Constitution does not mandate or require a presence of the State of the Union. All it says and suggests is that the president shall periodically
Article 2. Was it?
provide a report to Congress on the status of what's going on. And beyond that, for well over 100 years of the 250 years of our great nation, they've never had a State of the Union like we see today.
Yeah.
It was nothing more than the president submitted a written statement to the leadership of the Senate and the House. And I heard this morning, there's a big push for maybe going back to that.
Yeah, amen.
Because it becomes more, and both parties are guilty of this. Is that things that are shared aren't supported by facts.
Right.
It's talking about what tomorrow may be like. We don't know what tomorrow will be like. And the whole purpose of the report was to give a status from the executive branch to the legislative branch of the status of things that are happening and have happened. So it was an interesting from a historian talking about how it's become, and it was, and I did not watch it because I knew it was going to be
Performative art.
it was gonna be the same thing he always does, and,
I think it was worse, by the way, but that's not.
well, but yeah, and I, like
Yeah.
you, I went to my, reviewers and fact checkers, and within 20 minutes realized, didn't really miss anything. I mean, I was disappointed in the gotcha moment, which is making the big rounds through Fox right now of, if you don't believe in America and defending Americans from criminal immigrants, stand up. Perfectly presented in a no-win situation.
Yep.
And that's why they should stop it.
He didn't
If I
quite
can,
say
wait,
it that way.
but yeah, okay, yes, I
Right,
agree.
but
By
the
way,
point
Phyllis,
was,
let me,
Go ahead.
let me just stop, just read Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, Section 3. He, the executive, shall from time to time give to Congress information of the State of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may on extraordinary occasions convene both houses or either of them, and in the case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them and so on. But so that's all that's required, and it was given, sent in writing up until the beginning of the 20th century, is my understanding. Now, Phyllis, please, thank you.
He didn't quite say it that way. He said something like, if you believe in protecting Americans first, but he didn't say anything about like the criminal stuff, but it was like so obvious what he meant. And like you said, it was like a no-win situation because, like, you know, you have to, if you're not going to stand up for that, you don't believe that Americans are important over other people. But, you know, how do you say that we are important over other people and you know, be a human?
right.
So
If you've
you-
ever taken any of the online, or remember the day where you go to the mall, walk around, and a person would walk up with a clipboard and ask you, they're doing a poll or whatever, and take you in a room and ask these questions. How the questions written and proposed directly goes to a certain, whether you feel
The
like
narrative.
it or the
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is a design narrative
Yeah,
to
right.
get the response you want.
Right.
Yeah, it's also, it creates what's called a false dichotomy. That is, on the one, and what he presented last night was on the one hand, stand up for citizens of the United States or stand up for criminals who, that's not a dichotomy. And I think in many people's mind, it wasn't the citizens of the United States because the Constitution calls on them to stand up for all people, as in the beginning of of Amendment 5, that all people, not all citizens. But he presented that false dichotomy, and it's great TV. Man, it's great TV.
I didn't watch any of it, but I could hear all of it. It was in the adjoining room working on my laptop. And so when it was over, then I came to the room to hear the commentators, because I wanted to hear what they had to say. And they talked about something I didn't catch as I was, hearing it. In the first part of it, he was speaking very rapidly, almost ridiculously fast. And they played a clip to show you that that's what had happened. And then when he moved into the part that he really relishes, like introducing all these different people and groups and whatever, that's when he slowed way down, so it ran almost 2
Coke
hours.
wore off.
Yeah.
I was wondering if he was on something so that he could.
Oh, he does, he does. He doesn't, I don't think he takes coke, but he takes amphetamines.
Yeah.
Just like Hitler.
Well, when he's selling you something, he's bombarding you with conversation. When he's in an area where he's comfortable, like being entertainer, oh, I'd like to introduce so and so and so, and these people, where he's comfortable, he slows down because he knows his train of thought and he's there. But when he's pushing a narrative that's not his own, he's got to run out as fast as he can. Because he knows if he gives you room to breathe, you get one question in there, you can blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we should all feel better because he said we're all doing really well.
yeah, you're right, exactly,
Yeah, the grocery prices are down.
yeah, and
I
gas
was
is available
driving,
at
so I
$1.99.
didn't, I
State
heard
of
it all,
delusion.
but I couldn't see anything. So there were long sections where he gave somebody an award. Were they actually, because the clapping went on forever. It was like several minutes of just clapping. Was the award being given at that time?
Well, they,
Yeah.
That was
they
going on?
stand up and they'd clap.
Yeah.
And then they'd go to sit down and then he'd continue talking about them and then they have to stand up again.
Yes.
Sometimes they had to stand up like 3 times and because it was just so,
And someone did come and give awards several
and yes,
times.
me
Right.
too, yeah.
Those people,
They were up in the balcony.
they were in
And
a
you're saying
gallery,
that
and
people
behind the
filled
gallery.
in the Democrats' empty chairs?
Somewhat. They
Yeah.
spilled over a little bit.
Spilled over? a little?
Yeah.
But he also, I guess, I don't know if he did it last night, but he showed that he awarded 2 Medal of Honors. One for a helicopter
Right.
pilot,
Yes.
and another one
And a
for,
Purple Heart.
In Venezuela.
Yes.
Yeah.
and a Purple Heart. Another one was for a Korean fighter pilot,
Fire.
Yep.
yeah, from
It
67
was
years ago.
100 years ago.
Yeah,
100
yeah,
years old
100 years
now.
100 years
Yeah.
old now.
Yeah.
That's just so we wouldn't talk about or even think about Epstein.
Right.
Just
And
that-
it never crossed
And yes,
anybody's,
large
absolutely,
survivors were
yeah,
there.
absolutely.
I found it unusual. I watched, I didn't watch it, I watched some reviews of some of the things they were fact checking. So he split the hair on the economy. What they did is they looked at the past 5 years of the US economy. And he said, the core economy has been better under me for the past X amount of years. But when they break down what the core economy looks at, gas, food, and clothing, or one other subject, is not evaluated in that. So literally, the country, was it housing? Yeah.
That would make it even worse.
Yeah.
Housing
So
and food are kind of critical.
overall, industry, business people, the upper middle class and wealthy, their economy's looking fine. If you factor in what everybody else factors in, then your economy goes really questionable on him.
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
and look at the number of businesses that have announced layoffs, significant layoffs.
Yeah.
UPS, I'm trying to think of some of the other really big ones. I think UPS was 30,000. I mean, the economy's not
Right,
strong.
no, by no means, but
No,
if he stands up there and tells them his base
they don't know
Then
any
it
better.
is.
soaks it up, and
Yeah.
that's what they believe.
You know, I've been thinking about this, and what keeps the economy really rolling is the citizenry. I mean, everybody still gets up and goes to work and tries to do the best job they can, and that is keeping us going quite well.
Yeah.
The people,
Yeah,
Right.
but
not the leadership, but the people.
Well, and the people are also the consumers
Right.
that drive the economy.
So we've got to go ahead, you know, as business as usual, because there's no other way. We have a job, we have to go to work, you know.
So who best to understand the people who get up every morning and go to work, but billionaires like Trump and Witkoff and Kushner and so on. I'm being facetious. That,
No, they go to
yeah,
work later in the week.
Yes, they are, so it is, okay.
And it's hard for normal people to do what we would like to do and shut the economy down for a while as everybody stopped going to work, stopped shopping. But how do you get those people to do that? Because that's
need the money.
the only way they can live, right?
Yeah,
True.
Yeah,
By
yeah.
design.
And all you're doing is hurting the bottom people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, again, they talk about the K economy, so there's an up and a down, and the rich people and well-to-do people are up, the other people are down. So if you don't patronize local stores and so on, and decide to boycott for a day or to shut down the economy, you're only hurting the hourly
Right.
guy who works in the.
And then he talked about 401Ks, and I have a 401K. It's not growing like gangbusters. I mean, there's a slight increases, but nothing to write home about.
Well, when he speaks on 401Ks, he's not looking at the individual 401K. You're like the 20th decimal in the group he's looking at. He's looking at 401Ks that are like conglomerates, multimillionaires, that actually can move the market. And if your 401K, which yours is tied to the market, regardless of what you think, he's looking at, is that 401K doing better? Or has he done something to make it increase in its value? In that case, he could say yes, but he has also done some detriment to the market which supports the 401Ks. So he's been as bad to it as he's been good to it.
At some point, he mentions, 401Ks, some of them are up $30,000. I mean, you've got to have
Yeah, if you're
quite a
$5 million
number of $1 million in the bank.
Yes.
That
At
kind of
least
money
several
one year.
$1 million to get a $30,000
Yes.
Mine is.
But if you're a
like
smart
this.
investor, you wouldn't put a whole lot of money in a 401K.
Right.
No, because the 401K
So what
is
was
not
he
making money.
saying? He's blowing it out the side of his head.
Was it also last night, or was it someone else who said that people are getting tax refunds of like $20,000? I'm like,
Yeah.
who's
Right,
getting
right, that's what I meant.
$20,000?
Well, and I had that
Well,
conversation this morning, and we haven't done our taxes yet.
That did not-
You-
Well, the reason is because I don't know if you were aware, but that Social Security $6,000 had not been factored in
Right, yeah.
to the online process or even at the IRS. And so they were presenting the probability that people that filed early because their tax is simple may need to refile because the IRS is underfunded and is slow to
They
be
cut their
putting
staffing.
all of these brand new things in because they don't have the staffing. But
Yeah, because he fired.
my wife turned to me and said, "Oh, great, so we're gonna get all this extra money." Well, no, because by law, you can only get back what you paid in. No one gets more
Yeah.
than the money they paid in. So if you think that you're going to file and get that $10,000, whereas what did he say? I'm putting more money in people's pockets.
Yeah.
You're not going to because the money you paid in, and it's confusing. And so people walk out the door with this perception that a government that is almost $9 trillion in debt is gonna hand out money to all of us because they have all this extra money.
But didn't he say he was gonna balance the budget by this year?
Last night,
Tariffs?
last night he
That are
promised it,
illegal,
yeah.
he has to refund?
He promised it again last night for next year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes, he
Well-
did.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
Even factoring in what Mark just said, with the Supreme Court decision about the tariffs coming in, if you're 39, what's the figure?
It's almost 39.
39 trillion in debt. Where's that money gonna come that he has to refund in the tariffs?
Well, they have,
And
he claims
that's-
he has
yeah.
that money in a special treasury
Is that one of the
account.
ones he
yeah,
controls
and
personally?
It's probably in a Bitcoin account of his
I
own,
was gonna say
yeah.
Bitcoin, yeah.
But there's a great, I follow a guy, in fact, you guys all know who Steve Ballmer is. Was involved with Microsoft through Bill Gates, and then he owned basketball teams. So he started this YouTube channel called USA Facts. Highly recommend taking a look at it because he posts factual information of the true numbers that he can gather and get. And he did the State of the Union, which was like 15 minutes long, 3 days ago. And it was talking about things like, we spend $7.4 trillion a year in all of our military, Social Security, Medicare, and all these things that have been done. But sadly, we only take in like 5.3 every year. That's the state of our union.
That's why we cut taxes.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's why we don't have, we have a cap on Social Security payments and all of these kind of things. So, but it takes effort to look and to understand it and to have a conversation that even makes sense. And half our country doesn't even care. And the second thing I heard, we were talking about voting, was amazing. There was, Brian Tyler Cohen put out a very good presentation that talked about the SAVE Act. If the SAVE Act goes into effect, it is expected that the Republican Party in red states like Oklahoma, Louisiana, Wyoming will be hurt extensively because it takes hours of drives to get to a facility to get your birth certificate or to get registered because they've cut back on these locations. And so statistically, he's presenting a thought of, great, let's make it harder to vote because it's going to hurt the rural people that don't have their birth certificate, don't have their 5 documents to show they've been married several times and their name is 3 times changed.
Yeah.
And it was clear to me that we all can see that some of these goals, these efforts of restricting the vote, making it harder to do this, the immigrant kind of thing, is the Republicans shooting their own feet.
Oh, yeah.
Because the consequences, and I remember during the special election here, when Josh Wheel was showing numbers that were doing very well in this red state, if it was being done now, he'd probably have a good chance to win. But the Republicans came out and begged everybody to sign up for mail-in ballots, which Donald Trump has used multiple times. Because a vote is a vote is a vote. And so it's interesting. And it takes a lot of effort.
Another thing about that, as far as rural and Republicans and everything, I see a lot of things online, and so many Republican women are saying, like, well, we already have to have IDs. And it's like they don't understand that there's a difference. So in that respect, they're going to be left out too. It just, they're not educated on it.
Well, and it's been circulating on the left for years now about the SAVE Act and telling women, go ahead and, if you don't have your birth certificate, go ahead and send for a copy. I have a friend whose name was incorrect on her birth certificate, which also happened to my mother, but she's deceased. So now you're really in trouble because that was never your name.
Yeah.
Never a name you've used. But anyway, she was trying to get hers rectified now because of this going on. And so she had to work through I think she said the Department of State in Washington, D.C. And they said, we have a huge backlog.
Yeah.
It will be many months before we can get to you.
Particularly since DOJ fired
And they
half
also
the
made it so
workforce.
that it goes into effect immediately.
Yes.
So it's not going
Yeah.
to give people time
Yeah.
to get all those things.
So basically, I have a copy of my birth certificate that I ordered a few years ago, because mine just disappeared. But it's not gonna help me because I don't have my maiden name anymore.
Right,
Right, you have to have your
Your
marriage.
right,
So-
yeah,
So, I'm gonna have to pay a poll tax
and precisely,
to
so
get
it is a poll
a
tax.
passport that I'll never use, because I
Right.
can't afford to go anywhere.
And that's because, and poor people tend to vote for Democrats, and this way
Yeah.
disenfranchise Democrats and.
Exactly, but
help
I
their
won't
vote,
be disenfranchised.
Yeah,
I am
good,
voting.
yeah, yeah.
But you're already registered.
Yeah,
And you have a voter card.
yes, I do.
So these changes to this act for this cycle, from what I'm being told, and I was talking with some people who have already talked to Katie, who is our
Right.
elections lady, who says if you are on the rolls and you have a card, you are ready and set to go, hopefully with a mail-in ballot, to make it simpler.
I take it down to the voting.
Well, I
place
do too, but
in that
it's,
box.
the value of a mail-in ballot is you have a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was at the charter review 4.5 hours on Tuesday morning. And there's gonna be no less than 4 or 5 ballot measures on the ballot, which is going to be hopefully only one page front and back.
Yeah.
But between the
We-
state
yeah.
putting their request about taxes and all of that, so I highly recommend everybody signing up for a mail-in ballot, only so
time to
you
read
get a
it.
chance to
Yeah.
sit
Yeah,
and
right,
And
yeah.
read it
research.
and understand it and research it, because it's going to be very, very lengthy. But she had confirmed, and all of you can call and verify, you go online, that if you are registered
You're
and you
good.
have a card, you should be good to vote no matter what the act is.
Unless you need to make an update, such as you move. The moment you update anything, you have to back up and do it.
Right.
Start again.
Oh,
But the other, she claims, and I kind of agree with her, everyone that has the card, that's on the roll, has been validated and proved to be eligible to vote, which includes documentation at the front end when you register to vote. What the SAVE Act is requiring is at the point of turning in your ballot, grabbing your ballot, filling out your ballot, they want you to verify yourself all over again. That's really what this is about.
not-
so the SAVE Act literally is gonna make it, like you said, that's gonna be at the polls that it will
That's their
affect you.
intent. Because they want to get rid of mail-in balloting. That means everybody's got to stand in line at the poll, even though those are early voting. The military are screwed if
Yes,
you're
'cause
in
you're out.
Afghanistan and you're trying to vote.
Well, he did say last night, it's only for people who are, mail-in ballots are only for the sick, disabled,
And
Military
military, or
and
if you're traveling.
And how do you think that'll work when it
Wait a
goes
minute,
to
did-
the court?
I'm sick,
Yeah.
I can't.
so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you prove that? You got a doctor's note with your ballot? Oh, I was sick,
I'm
here's my
sick.
doctor's note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to promote this organization called VoteRiders with an S.org. So what they do is they help pay for documents like a birth certificate, a social security card, records you might now need. They'll even give a ride to the Department of Motor Vehicles or the Social Security office, and then help you get the final ID that proves you are all set. So again, that's VoteRiders with an S.org.
You're saying RIDERS.
Yes.
Not writers, W.
Right.
If you'll send that to me, I will share it with everybody on the
Okay,
list
you
that
can
gets
take-
the
just take a
invitation.
picture of this little card and send it.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to,
RIDERS.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb and think that most of us are probably about to start drawing Social Security. So are you aware that the?
Been a while.
Yeah, no. Are you aware that the government agencies have all consolidated their online access portal?
The federal
It's
agencies, yeah.
called Login Gov.
Yeah.
G-O-V. It's for VA,
Yep.
it's for My Pay Military, it's for Social Security.
.org or
It's called G-O-V.
Got it, G.O.V.
I never got my 1099 for Social Security.
Because you're not sending them out anymore.
Well,
No, I got
they
one.
are, you can go in and request it, but they were supposedly mailed. So anyway, I went, oh, great, I'll go log in. They directed me to 3 different layers of getting approved, to the point where they finally said, you need to take your passport or birth certificate
Oh, my God.
to the post office and have them fill out a form and validate that you are who you are, to
Yes.
get a login
God.
access
Yes.
for VA. And then I called 3 different places, including down in the VA, and they went, forget it. It's impossible. They purposely, I believe,
Layered.
made it so
Different,
difficult that if you want to get your Social Security started, you got to go up to, the closest one I think is in St. Augustine.
If,
I don't think
If
that
you
covers
can-
our area,
If
down
they
in
have-
Dunlawton.
You have to go
right.
down to the land.
Yeah, you have to go south, that one's
Well, but the
St.
point
Johns
I
County
made-
north.
And I'm fairly computer literate, and I couldn't figure it out. To get a login so that I could go on to my Social Security and ask for a new 1099. So I called them, requested it through their machine. They sent me back an email going, okay, it's on your
Would you have to
online
log in?
presence, go get it, which defeated the purpose. It's not user-friendly. I believe it's somewhat intentional. This is what we're headed toward.
yes.
This is where, you know, we're not gonna worry about you getting a Medicare card, Medicaid card, because we're gonna make it impossible for you to go in and sign up for it.
Cut it anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't know if you've experienced that, but be aware, they're pushing you to an online portal
Right.
Yes.
that nobody can get into.
Yeah.
That is
I've had that for
operated,
years.
no, and I think 50 or 60% of that portal is AI generated. So when you actually get a voice, that's not a real person.
Oh,
That's a AI generated recording. It has key phrases it's going to understand and divert you to.
so you might as well be calling India.
Yeah, and so the purpose,
Or worse.
yeah, so what's the purpose of the SAVE Act?
To,
Voter
Keep
suppression.
illegal aliens from voting.
In the last,
Which is
in the last
not
10 elections,
happening.
what fraction of the voters were illegal aliens?
Zero,
Point
zero,
zero,
Zero, zero, zero, zero,
Yeah, seven.
infinitesimally
yeah.
small. Right,
all-
exactly.
This
And-
morning on CNN, Scott Jennings, who is, what they were doing a conversation feedback after it, and they were talking about the value of the SAVE Act and protecting us from all of these undocumented aliens that are voting. And one of the people on the panel said, look, statistically, there were like 10 out of 18 million. His response, 10's too many.
yeah,
At a cost of
okay,
what?
okay.
Who's
Yeah,
that, Scott
right.
Jennings?
Scott Jennings
Yes,
is
Shame
conservative
on him.
Republican,
Yeah.
used to be
On
a,
CNN.
used to be a representative.
yeah.
Yeah,
But his point was, 10's too many out of 18 million.
Me.
yeah.
So another guy on the panel responded back and says, so then tell me why there's been 38,000 murders done in the country by citizens and less than 100 by undocumented immigrants. Well, 100's too many.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's,
the numbers are that your neighbor's gonna take you out faster than the guy cutting your grass.
yep. And it, so I am struck once again, and I've mentioned this before, by, and perhaps it's all of our training growing up, that we assume that if we hear the President of the United States speaking from the podium before Congress with the State of the Union to all the people, we automatically seem to assume, and I heard around this table, that he's telling the truth. But we know otherwise. Why is it surprising? Why
While I
does it
was
surprise?
listening, I
Shouldn't
was
it be
hoping-
surprising to us when he tells the truth?
No.
While
Not-
I was
and not-
listening last night, I was hoping that most people that are listening and watching are just, doing the fact checking right in their own head. Because we've heard these things so many times. We know where the lies are. So I was just hoping people are going, yeah, that's a lie. Yeah, that's a
I
lie.
almost spit my
Yeah, that's a
popcorn
lie."
out
I'm
several
hoping
times.
people really
It
are waking up.
it depends on if you drink the juice or not. That's, if you're drinking the Kool-Aid, last night was the gospel.
Well, a lot
If you're a
of,
truthful
more and
person,
more people are spitting it out.
I hope.
We hope so. We can
are.
only
Well,
hope
the
so.
numbers
I mean,
show.
during the State of the Union speech, a woman won handily in Texas in the state
Right.
senate,
Yeah.
a state senator.
Right.
She won by 92%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my
A
gosh.
Democrat
Well,
from Texas won by
because-
over 90%.
Hispanics have finally awakened, I believe,
Hallelujah.
and discovered that, they're gonna get
The wind is at
dragged
our
out of
back
their
right
car
now.
or shot through the
Everybody
window
has
or
to
who
keep
knows what.
doing what they're
Yeah.
doing. You can do a little more,
Definitely, yeah.
better, but just whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
And we have to recognize that we are the choir and that we are high information voters. We need to reach out to our neighbors and so on. Anyway, Kurt, what were you gonna say?
Talarico, what does AAU think about Talarico?
Uncomfortable. You know what? We no longer, we used to vote for the lesser of the two evils. Now we vote for the evil of the two lessers.
Yeah.
And we recognize that we're always faced with bad choices. We just have to take the least bad choice.
Do you view Jasmine as a bad choice? Do you view Jasmine as a bad choice?
No, not necessarily. No, and not Jasmine.
Okay.
But Rico
Yeah, but that's-
is a very
that's a
yeah, yeah. So we
I love
don't
it.
we don't see a problem.
Why is he
What
different?
loves it? What very Baptist? Very. His father was a Baptist preacher. He's a, yeah.
But yes,
He's
but
a
what's
what?
also
He's a,
about-
he's
I thought he
a,
was pretty good.
yeah. I thought
Spoken
his.
out on it a few times.
He sounds a lot like to me like a Christian nationalist, and there's nothing wrong with Crockett exactly. Nothing wrong with Crockett at all.
She's
And,
polling well ahead of him already.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, I don't understand the motivation, but it's a great country. Anybody can run for any office they want, as Trump has demonstrated
Well, at least he's a
personally.
Democrat.
Yeah. So we can't complain about that.
I just wanna, make mention, since we're talking about trying to get people to change their minds about him. My own daughter that I raised myself and she voted for Obama both times. Anyway,
Yeah.
she's a Trumper.
Oh, she's Trump, yeah.
And I told her, I love you and I will be here for you and the kids, but stop trying to change the way I feel. I've felt this way for all these years, I'm not changing. So, really cool thing happened last week. I was on Facebook and I noticed a couple of posts from her, and they're both about how awful pedophiles are, and anyone who's a pedophile needs to be shot, basically, but she put it the right way, like tried and prosecuted and put in jail forever.
Not castrated?
Yeah, well,
that's do that
you and I
too.
can say that, but we can't say that on the
Yeah.
phone. So, and then I saw another one this weekend, a third one. And how can she still be liking?
Maybe she's getting there.
Maybe start
Yeah,
I'm
something
not gonna
else.
bring it up, I
Yeah.
checked, I didn't get all excited,
It
I
takes
didn't put a
time.
heart
It
or
does.
a
It
smile,
takes
I just
time.
put a
It's very,
thumbs up.
it's very hard to admit that you've been duped for so long.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Kurt.
Everybody might be
But
interested.
that's good news. If she can make it
Yeah,
work,
yeah, absolutely. A tiny step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Here's some more good news. We just learned recently that at the REC meetings, there's like two sides of the room.
Yes.
One side
Oh,
are
really?
the regular Republicans, and the other side are the MAGAs.
MAGA,
So there's a split
Is that here
It's been-
locally or nationally?
locally.
Yeah.
Oh,
That-
interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's also national.
Yes.
There is a big split in the party
I
right
mean,
now.
No, but
the other side of the
physically
room,
in
this
the, in
is,
the, in the room.
Oh, whoa.
Does it-
Physically
yeah,
in the room.
yeah. One people doesn't,
piece- some
one doesn't
people
want to
sit on
talk to
this
the
side,
other
some
and so.
people
that
sit
is
on that
such
side.
good news.
Yeah.
Very shocking.
Yeah, and Jim Manfred talked about
That-
that a couple of weeks ago.
Along
Go ahead,
with the
Kurt.
elections that we're seeing and the massive amounts that they're winning by in very red places.
Red areas, yeah. Let's hope we're
Yeah,
not.
that's,
People are really unhappy.
yeah, I think much of the speech last night was in recognition, a tacit recognition is, we gotta do something. We gotta call these people crazy and idiots and tell them what awful people they are, because I'm way behind. Kurt, what were you gonna say?
Nicholas Kristof wrote an editorial in the New York Times on the weekend. And he visited a friend in Boston who had just lost her 16-year-old daughter, ran away. So he's very much involved in trafficking and things like that. So he opened up his computer you know, and knew how to access. These pedophiles are advertising online.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
He saw this picture. He saw this picture of a girl, and the woman started screaming, "That's my daughter!"
Yeah.
That's how close this
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. That's why Trump has taken crime off the streets of Washington and brought it into the White House.
Well, you know, consider
And
this
in his hotels.
Yeah, it has.
from a crystal view. A Republican House of Representative out of Texas who's embroiled in a terrible condition, situation, possible affair. Clearly, there's a lot of bad things happening, and the consequences was this young woman took her own life because of this
Yeah,
frustration. And the majority of the House, mostly Democrats, are saying this guy needs to be removed. Ethically, he's violated because she worked for him. She was an
Yeah.
aide, which is
Yeah,
a
that's-
violation.
Yeah.
And it was presented to Speaker Johnson,
Yeah, I saw that.
and he said, well, we're probably not gonna do anything, we'll let it play out. Underlying issue is, the control of the House is down to one seat. So this person, who is clearly ethically in error, is possibly going to sit through until the election because the Republicans have to control the power
In the House.
over the criminal activity of their own people. And we know that best by who? Who is the leader of the Republican Party?
Trump.
Who has been a convicted criminal?
Yep, Trump.
So that's a great talking point. I use it often because they need I'm finding they're looking for an
Off-ramp.
off-ramp.
They are.
They're looking for a way to justify, well, he's done too much. He said too much.
And also that, isn't it the labor person?
Oh,
So her husband was assaulted two staffers of hers,
Yeah.
as well as she did something as well.
Oh, the Secretary of Labor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
and her husband.
Yeah.
Her husband sexually assaulted two people, but she also did something with money.
Oh, it was,
What the heck was it that she's
it was financial, and I can't remember exactly what.
She
a trip?
took her boyfriend, who's her assistant or something,
Yes.
on a trip, paid for
Paid by
by
the-
us.
Right.
Yes.
And she took a whole bunch of people that she likes in her office to a strip club.
Oh, right, and they
That's
were
right.
drinking, and she's also drank on the job.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, so there's another group
Yeah.
that
It was
they're
sounding
not.
like
That's
Christy
all
Nome
fake
there for a
news.
minute.
That's right.
That's right. Don't look, as,
But again, they're not prosecuting or
P.T.
Well, I'll say
Barnum.
giving them
Yep, there he is.
suspension or
Yeah.
something.
I love the site, P.T. Barnum.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
There's a fool every day.
A full born every minute.
Well, that's an old term.
One of, in fact, it appeared on the flyer, but I'll leave you with this, one or two final comments, I'll leave you with this to prepare for next week, is to compare and contrast justice for survivors of the Epsteins, compare and contrast the response in the United States
Oh, yeah.
as opposed to the response in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
And we ought to hang our heads in shame, but we know
And
that as well.
Poland's getting big on it.
It's, the tentacles are just amazing. You want to keep the time short, but
All I
Go ahead.
was gonna say is that we could have our own
Do you want to say
citizen
something?
patrol. I'm not into that, but to help young girls.
Yeah.
I mean, the police are not helping. How do we,
they're busy
well, how
helping
can we make an or something?
And I might have misspoke, but Nancy, her husband is doing sexual harassment.
yeah. You know what? And you knew the name of the guy, Army McCarthy hearings, who said, "Have you no decency? Have you no sense of decency?" I don't know. Where's
I
our
think that
sense of
was
decency?
One of the criteria for when he picked the cabinet.
Yeah, if you-
Those and
by the
those
way,
and
no,
those.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Potential to get one.
Yeah, even John Meacham, the historian who tries to be circumspect and polite and says, "This is a cabinet of knuckleheads." Yeah, you'll never get it straight.
The
Did you
only
want-
thing I was going to say is, how can Andy Fine keep his job after being recorded
Oh, smacking
voting
off,
for
voting all the
Yeah.
other extra
people?
votes.
Yeah,
I mean,
Ridiculous.
and that's
and
our,
then talk
yeah.
about voter fraud? I mean, come on.
So we can talk theory and so on, but our job is to make sure that Randy Fine never darkens the door of the
Yeah. Oh, I
U.S.
know.
Capitol
Gets
again.
elected.
Now,
Here is-
interestingly, I
Yeah.
did see that video, and when I went to Tallahassee with the Tally Days group 2 years ago, I think it was, apparently, well, I don't know whether it's allowed in Florida or not, but they absolutely do it, and we saw them do it multiple times. If others weren't in the room, they'd go around and tap the different, but maybe it's legal here, but it's definitely not legal in the
I
House.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't imagine that it's illegal. You know, we can't take a voting,
Yeah, really.
a mail-in ballot from anybody
He
else
should
and
be
take it.
disbarred
Right, yeah.
immediately.
I know.
You actually can, at least in Putnam you're allowed to, we'd have to ask Katie.
Yeah.
You could bring anyone else in your household, you
In
could
your
bring a
house.
couple from a
Yeah.
neighbor, those kinds of things, you cannot bring in.
Two, I think she said you could have two.
By the way, that's,
right?
that's,
Two is
that's
the number you
ballots,
could
but
bring.
registration
Your household
cards,
plus two.
there's another matter. At any rate, thank you all for being here. We'll do it again next week. Your contributions and your thoughts and ideas and the problems, topics, and issues we've been able to tackle have been most interesting, and hope you'll join us again next week. Special thanks to Suncoast Media Services, to the Red Condos for recording this. If you'd be good enough to help fold up the chairs and put them back there, fold up the tables so that they go back where they belong, and take home some animal crackers. That's the Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
We'll have
Next week.
put a poll out.
Yeah, if you'd be good.